Hi everyone, this is Sharon. You may have wondered if fillable PDF forms can do calculations, and if so, how do I create a fillable PDF with calculations? Well, yes they can, and I'm going to show you exactly how to create a PDF form with calculations in Adobe Acrobat by converting an Excel invoice template into a PDF and then setting up the calculating fields in Acrobat. Let's check it out. I have my Adobe Acrobat desktop app open, and now I'm going to navigate over to my Excel Invoice template. And here's an invoice template that I have set up. It's got the quantity times the price will give me an amount, and then down at the bottom we have a subtotal, tax rate, sales tax, other, and a total. So let's go ahead and save this as a PDF. We're going to go up to File, Save a Copy. We're going to name the file. And then under the file type, drop down and then scroll down and select PDF. Then click Save. Okay, notice that the PDF is now open in a new tab here in Acrobat. So let's go over to the right and down here, click on Prepare Form. Our PDF will load right here in this window, and notice that the form field auto detection is on, and we're going to click Start. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this pop-up window here, and the auto detection has looked at this form and gone in and placed form fields automatically where it believes a form field should go. So that's a super helpful way if you are loading in an existing PDF that is formatted kind of like a form. It'll look at the different lines and boxes and spaces and place a form field in there for you. So we've got all of our form fields automatically placed in here for us. So let's go ahead and start working on the calculations. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that each form field has been automatically named through that process. And so I want to scroll down and just make sure that each of the form fields, that the name of the form field that was automatically selected or placed is doesn't have any spaces in between them. Because when we use calculations, we want to be able to use the form fields and we bookmark them by the name and use them that way, and they can't have any spaces in them in order to work. So down here I noticed that tax rate and the sales tax have a couple of spaces in here, so I'm going to double click those and fix those really quick. All right, on the General tab here, I'm just going to delete the space and click Close, and I'll do the same thing on the sales tax. We're going to delete the space and click Close. All right, now let's go back up real quick and put in some calculations and format our quantity, price, and amount fields. So let's start with our row 1 here. We're going to double click to open up the field properties. And we've got quantity row 1 is the name of the field. So we're going to go over to Format, and in the drop down here, select Number. And under decimal places, just select 0. Since it's a quantity, we're just going to put a whole number in there, so we don't need a currency symbol either. And so we're going to click Close. And now for the price for row 1, we're going to do the same thing where we go on the Format tab. We're going to drop down, we're going to select Number, but this time we do want to select a currency symbol. So I'm going to drop down and select the $sign. And then I'm going to click Close here. And now for the calculated field. So the amount, we want to multiply the quantity times the price. So I'm going to double click to open up the amount. We're going to format this one also as a number with the currency symbol. And then in the Calculate tab, we're going to select this first option here, which is value is the, and then we have a drop down here that helps us build automatic calculations that are straightforward and simple. So if we're just adding or multiplying or taking an average, min, or max of a couple of fields, then we can use this first option here. And so in this option, I'm going to select product. And we are going to pick the fields. We click on Pick, and then we select the fields that we want to multiply. So that is going to be our quantity row 1 and price row 1. So we'll look for quantity row 1 and price row 1. And we're going to click OK. So that's going to place the two fields in there that are going to be multiplied together for that amount. And then I just click Close. And let's go ahead and do that for the next row, just so we can see at least 2 lines of our invoice when we do our test. So we'll go ahead and update the format. to number and 0 for the quantity for the decimal places, and we won't have a currency on there. And we'll just click close. We'll update the price row 2 as a number and select the currency symbol for 2 decimal places there. Click close, and then now amount row 2, and we're going to format that one as a number and then set up the calculation for that one. We're going to say value is the product, and then we're going to pick our fields, and it's going to be quantity row 2 and price row 2. And click OK and click close. All right, so now that we have a couple of those set up that we can do some testing, let's go down and set up the rest of our calculating fields, which are down here at the bottom. So we want our subtotal, which is called amount subtotal. We want this to add up all the different amounts in the invoice. So we're going to double click, and we are going to format that one as a number. We have the 2 decimal places and a currency symbol. And then for calculate on this one, we can use the value is, the sum, and then we can pick all of the amount fields. For this example, since we only filled in amount row 1 and 2, we'll just pick those. And click OK. All right, now I'm going to click close. For the tax rate, we can set this up a little differently. So if we open up the properties on the tax rate, and then when we click on the Format tab here, we have an option to set this to a percentage. So if I set this field to be formatted as a percentage, just keep in mind whatever number you type in there is going to get multiplied by 100. So if your tax rate is, say, 7.5%, and you format this field to be a percentage, then you're going to want to type in 0.075, and then that way it will calculate correctly. So just keep that in mind. If you do set that up as a percentage, it multiplies whatever number you type in there by 100. And so I'm going to leave that to 2 decimal places with a separator style, and then I'm going to click close. And then the sales tax, we're going to calculate to multiply the subtotal by the tax rate. So let's open that one up, and we'll format this one as a number with the currency symbol of a $sign. We'll go to calculate, and we're going to say the product, so the multiply the subtotal, which is called amount subtotal, and we're going to multiply that by amount tax rate. And click OK. All right, now we're going to click close here. And then in the other, let's go ahead and double click and open that up. And this might be a field where, say, we want to put a discount or something, a flat amount that we can put in as a discount. We can format this as a number. And if we want to, under the negative number style, we can select to show parentheses around the number, and it'll have parentheses that'll show up to indicate if it's a negative number. And then we can also select use red text if we want to do that. So we can select both of those, and it will show up in parentheses with red text if it's a negative number. And so let's go ahead and click close now that that's formatted. And so the total amount is we're going to add the subtotal, the sales tax, and other together. So let's double click to open that up. Now let's go ahead and format that. We'll drop down and say number, 2 decimal places, currency symbol, a $sign, and then under calculate, we could do the value and just pick those fields and add them, but I also want to show you how to use the simplified field notation. So this option, the second option, the simplified field notation, you can use this if you have a little bit more complex of an equation that you want to put in for the system to calculate. So for example, if you had a couple of form fields, like let's say you had annual salary, and you wanted to divide it by 2080, you could hard code your divisor in the equation. You would be able to type that into the field here. So for example, you would click on edit, and then it opens up a window that you can expand here. And then all you would have to do is type the name of the field. And so in that example I just gave, if we had a field that was named salary, we could hit the divided by and then type in 2080, and then this field would calculate. It would take the value that's placed in the salary field and divide it by 2080. So that's how you would use this, this option to do some additional calculations. So right now, what I want to do is I'm going to add the amount subtotal plus sales tax, which is called amount sales tax, plus amount other. So you can use that to create this calculation here for you as well. So I'm going to click OK, and it has the math equation in here, adding those fields together. The third option, which is a custom calculation script, would be an option you could use if you had a very complex calculation and you're familiar with JavaScript. It would be the JavaScript code that you would write to perform that calculation, and that's the third option down there. So let's go ahead and click Close, and let's test out our form. So to test our form, we're going to come up here and click on Preview. Let's scroll up. All right, let's put a couple values in here and test this out. All right, it looks like our amounts are calculating correctly. We put in a quantity and price, and it multiplied those. And so if we scroll down here to the bottom, we see that our subtotal is calculating correctly. So let's go ahead and put in our tax rate. Remember, we formatted it as a percentage, so we're going to put in 0.075 for 7.5%. We'll hit Tab, and that gives us our sales tax. So hit Tab again, and then we're in the other field. So this is giving us our total as $645. Let's say we want to give a $45 discount. We'll say minus 45 and hit Tab. And then this will give us our final rate. It'll show 45 as a negative in parentheses in red, and it'll add up the total as 600 for the invoice. So this is working really well. So let's come back up. We can click on Edit to go back to the form. And before we save it, we want to clear it out. So let's go under where it says More. There's a drop down, and then hit Clear Form. And this will clear out all of the test data that you did to test out your form. And then you can come up to save it. You'll go to File, Save As, select a location. You can rename it if needed, and click on Save. Now you've got your calculating form fields ready to go. If you found this video helpful, be sure and give it a thumbs up. To like it, you can subscribe to my channel and click the bell to receive a notification every time I post a new video. Be sure and visit my website, SharonSmithHR.com, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching.